Tonight, caught on camera, but not by police.
It's scary. It's scary not knowing what could happen.
A Winnipeg mother's distress as she watches as a trespasser is on her property while her teenage son is home alone. Why police say it took officers more than 2 hours to arrive. Also tonight, what comes next?
It's a multi-pronged approach that should happen.
The push from Winnipeg's business community to keep the momentum going following a police crackdown on open drug use. Plus, the dog came back.
It's not right to take people's animals.
How a pilfered puppy ended up back in the arms of its grateful owners.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Security cameras are meant to make us feel safe, but when a notification alerted a Winnipeg mother about an intruder in her backyard over the weekend, panic set in. Her 15-year-old son was home alone as she watched a man she didn't know walking and looking around her property. But when she called 911 for help, it took hours to come. CTV's Joseph Bernacki met with the family today, who's frustrated over the slow police response. Joseph, just how long did it take for police to get on scene there?
2.5 hours, Marilee. It was a pretty frightening situation here for these homeowners here on Alexander Avenue. We're currently standing in front of their house. While the intruder was long gone by then, security cameras that they had, that I'll just point to back behind me here, captured the intruders, the trespasser, I should say, their every move.
It's scary knowing that your kids are home and you're not home. Something could happen.
Crystal Watson is still shook up, thinking back to Saturday morning. She and her husband were out grocery shopping when her phone buzzed.
We got a notification from our camera in the back that someone was in our backyard. Looked like it was scoping out our house.
She called her 15-year-old son, who was at home. He quickly dialed 911.
It was scary at first because, someone was in my backyard, without knowing them.
Security camera video from their house shows someone looking through their front and backyards. Minutes later, the person is gone. Although nothing was taken from their yard this time, the family is upset over response times from the Winnipeg Police Service.
It took about 2.5 hours for him to come, even after my son called them.
The Winnipeg Police Service confirmed the incident. They say depending on the resources available and whether or not a person's life is at risk, response times can vary.
Whenever we get a call that comes in, it is prioritized in importance as far as a threat to property or a threat to a person. Of course, there's precedent set with a threat to a person will take a precedent over a threat to property.
Still, Watson wants to know how she can better protect her family. They installed the security cameras after their barbecue was stolen in May, minutes after they used it. She now refuses to keep anything in their backyard out of fear.
We took things in our own hands and we put boards on our gate to make it higher so they can't jump in the back.
Now, while nothing was stolen from their property, the Winnipeg Police Service did acknowledge that property crime for both the West Alexander and Centennial neighborhoods are up significantly over the last year. In fact, Marilee, they shared a number of statistics with us today. Property crime for West Alexander is up 22.9% over the past year, whereas in Centennial, that number is 36.1%.
A good-sized jump. All right, Joseph, what about the Winnipeg Police Board? What does it have to say about the response time in this incident?
Well, Marilee, while they couldn't comment on a specific case such as this, the chair of the police board, Colleen Mayer, she sent us a statement saying in part the board monitors response times and how the public sees police, saying in part those are key indicators to success. More to come on this as we are tracking property crime here for CTV News.
All right, thanks for this, Joseph. Winnipeg's business community is calling for action to tackle crime and drugs downtown. In late June, police did a 10-day blitz targeting open drug use and trafficking. Now the Winnipeg Chamber of Commerce wants to know what's next. To explain, CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live. So Jeff, why is the Chamber speaking out now?
Because people are telling them enough is enough and businesses are saying short-term plans aren't the answer.
Even though his business is partially shielded by the police station,
F Apparel owner Andrew Parks says they're not immune to what some people are doing downtown.
They're engaging in activities that I would say that are not usually what you'd like to see in public spaces, so drinking, drug use, that kind of stuff.
In late June, the police did a 10-day sweep, cracking down on open drug use and trafficking downtown. Parks says a week and a half of enforcement is not enough.
Something needs to be done at the very least to let people know that it's not going to fly to be doing it in front of children, in front of businesses, in shared public spaces.
The Winnipeg Chamber of Commerce agrees. It released a statement supporting the sweep, adding people are saying enough is enough. The question that must be addressed now is, what happens after the 10 days of enforcement action? Our members have been clear that downtown safety cannot depend on short-term action, but strategic, visible, and sustained efforts. Mayor Scott Gillingham has also said he would like to see the enforcement continue.
A lot of people have expressed their appreciation for the Winnipeg Police Service and the crackdown on open illegal drug use.
The police have not yet released stats from the 10-day blitz and say they're speaking with social agencies before announcing what happens next. Some of those groups raised concerns the crackdown negatively impacted vulnerable people struggling with addictions and homelessness. Nick Van Siglin owns Bodegos in the Exchange. He noticed a bit of a change in the area since people stayed home during the pandemic.
Darkness can't exist when there's light. When there's people around, they are the light.
He believes enforcement is just one piece of the puzzle to clean things up.
Obviously the policing, the punishment if it is warranted, and if it needs to go into the social side of things to help with addiction and whatever else comes with it.
The Chamber also says while the city is facing a mental health and addictions crisis that needs support, the safety and rights of everyone, including people and businesses downtown, need protection.
Now, Jeff, you mentioned police haven't released data on that 10-day sweep. Have you been able to dig up any details about what that enforcement netted?
Yes, when police announced the crackdown, they said the problem was worse than they thought, as officers had 100 interactions with people using drugs in just the first 2 days of that operation. And they said there were 25 arrests, plus 3 people were taken to the detention center.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. Charges have been laid in a high-speed road race on the Disraeli Freeway early Sunday morning. But despite multiple vehicles seen hitting speeds of up to 200 kilometers an hour, only one arrest was made. The first report to police came in around 2 a.m. about a Corvette racing other vehicles along the Disraeli Freeway. The police helicopter tracked the racers to the Nairn overpass, where the vehicles then split off into different directions. Officers caught up to a Jeep and Corvette near Lagimodier and Regent and pulled them over. The Jeep stopped. The driver was ticketed. However, the driver of the Corvette and a passenger took off on foot. A police dog tracked them down on Poplar Street. Tonight, a 20-year-old man is charged with dangerous operation of a vehicle and fleeing police. None of the other vehicles involved have been identified. The city of Brandon has begun removing protective barriers as river levels continue to drop there. In a social media post, the city says it's started taking away super sandbags along First Street. It's also dismantling inflatable flood protections and is cleaning up around homes which had flood barriers in place. The city says that work will take some time, and it's asking residents to give crews the space they need to work safely. Drivers should also expect some delays in the area. The Assiniboine River peaked back on June 13th. Meantime, the province is expanding its flood recovery assistance to include several additional communities. The Manitoba Flood Recovery Program helps homeowners in hard-hit areas who may not qualify for other aid if flood insurance was available for their property. These are just some of the communities that have now been added to the program. Both the city and RM of Dauphin, Grandview Municipality, the RM of Lakeshore, and the RM of Riding Mountain West, just some of the new additions. The program does not provide full compensation, but it can be used for basic and essential needs such as repairs, cleanup and mold remediation, or housing and meals if you had to leave your home. You can find out more about all of the details by visiting manitoba.ca/MFRP. All right, let's bring Colleen Brady now and get a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. pretty hot out there tonight, Colleen.
Pretty humid too, and neither are going to be changing for the next few days. Hard to believe we're already here at the last week of July, but if you step outside, it's not so hard to believe it's the heart of the summer. Temperatures will continue to be very warm. Humidex values will continue to feel even warmer, and not much relief will come with overnight lows. They'll be pretty warm too for that time of the day. Little bit of thunderstorm activity just clipping the southwest corner of the province, but it is the heat warnings that continue, not just now all across southern Manitoba, including Winnipeg and Brandon. Now northwestern Ontario has been added to that heat warning as well. I'll have more details on how long this heat and humidity will last as we close in on the August long weekend. If you can believe it, that's just around the corner. But for now, let's take a look through the CTV Live Eye. It is brought to you by Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. In Winnipeg right now, it's 28 out there, but it feels like 34 with the Humidex. Light winds out of the north-northeast. The pressure's rising, and the humidity right now, merrily, is 55%.
Thanks, Colleen. A motorcyclist is dead after RCMP say he lost control and crashed Saturday night in southeastern Manitoba. It happened near the intersection of highways 210 and 404. That's about 35 kilometers southeast of Steinbach. RCMP believe the driver may have lost control while traveling south around a corner. The 61-year-old man from the nearby community of Marchand died at the scene. The investigation is ongoing. Election season is underway across Manitoba, and Friday, 3 municipalities elected new mayors and councils. The village of Dunotter elected Kathy Magnuson as its new mayor with more than 58% of the vote. Over in Winnipeg Beach, there's also a new face there leading the way as Terry Keloff secured 863 votes, good enough for 57% of the total votes to claim the mayor's chair. And lastly, over at Victoria Beach, well, no one ran against the current mayor, Penny McMorris, so she was elected by acclamation, but Elizabeth Murray, Rob Monkman, Graham Randall, and Ian Chadsey were the 4 candidates elected to council. Some new support tonight for a North End Women's Centre program expansion.
Together we are building something more than a building, and a place where women and families can thrive for generations to come.
The Manitoba government is providing $459,000 to help Nuke expand its transitional housing program. This brings the total investment to $1.34 million. The planned development on Selkirk Avenue is adjacent to the existing facilities.
This investment will create 8 new transitional housing units, while expanding counseling, parenting supports, life skills programming, and other wraparound supports that help women not only survive but thrive.
The project will double the size of the existing drop-in center and housing space. Construction is expected to start next fall. As hearings get underway for Manitoba Hydro's energy future, a former Manitoba energy minister is pressuring the Crown utility to expand its wind power generating capacity.
Is that Hydro has been slow walking and refusing and backing off wind for more than 20 years, while North Dakota's got 36 times our wind capacity, 36 times. Quebec is way, way ahead.
Tim Sale is throwing his weight behind a new report from Climate Action Team Manitoba, which accuses Hydro of delaying the introduction of wind power despite enthusiasm from developers, communities, and politicians in the early 2000s. The Crown Corporation's current proposed plan does include adding 600 megawatts of new wind power by 2035. Hydro spokesperson Peter Chura says the plan is to work in conjunction with the proposed natural gas turbines near Brandon.
Right, well, first of all, it's not either or. Wind energy is great, but it's intermittent. You can't rely on it all the time, so it needs to be backed up by what we call dispatchable capacity. That's something that can kick in quickly to pick up the slack when wind stops blowing and the wind energy stops being available. So natural gas burning turbines would fill that role, as well as be available for peak energy times when our capacity reaches its limits, and also for emergencies and droughts.
But existing power purchase agreements will expire over the next decade or so as wind turbines reach the end of their life, meaning the net increase will be closer to 340 megawatts. Well, police are asking for your help tonight finding a woman from northern Manitoba who arrived in Winnipeg earlier this month and hasn't been seen or heard from since. 36-year-old Dixie Richard came to the city July 18th for an appointment, but No one has heard from her since, and it's not known if she even made it to that appointment. Mounties believe she is still in Winnipeg, and her family is worried about her well-being. Richard is described as 5 feet 1 inches tall with a thin build and long black hair. She was last seen wearing a black tank top, black leggings, black Nikes, and carrying a black crossbody bag. Anyone with information is asked to contact Cross Lake RCMP. A happy ending tonight to a tale that started with a missing foster puppy in Wolseley. Brownie's littermates were excited to welcome her back home after she disappeared from a yard in Wolseley last week. After a search, Manitoba Animal Alliance became sure that the 9-week-old Shepherd Malamute mix had been stolen. Then on Friday, a social media follower notified the rescue group. They actually spotted the pup with 2 people on bikes downtown. Volunteers with Animal Alliance and Manitoba Underdogs tracked the pair to a duplex in the area. They surrounded the house to make sure no one left until police arrived.
They said as soon as the door opened, they could see the puppy there right away in that duplex. And in less than 60 seconds, they had the puppy in their hands and came outside with it to our people.
Police say they interviewed one person, but it's unclear who stole the puppy. The rescue says Brownie was dehydrated and apprehensive, but as of this morning is back to her old self. Brownie and her siblings, Twilight and Cola, are available for adoption. A portion of a downtown road will be temporarily closed later this week. Portage Avenue East will be closed between Main and Westbrook Streets Wednesday and Thursday for building construction. Now, the closure will be in effect from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. each day. Still to come tonight, a new study outlines the impact burnout is having on Canada's emergency rooms.
Emergency physicians are feeling like they're carrying the burden of healthcare.
More on the number of doctors choosing to leave because of those working conditions when we return. Taking a look at the markets tonight, crude oil lost over $6. The loonie slipped to 70.85 cents U.S. Gold futures added 620. The TSX closed 199 points higher. The Dow Jones gained 262 points, while the Nasdaq dropped 43. One man has been arrested and charged after police say he threw bricks and rocks into windows of multiple homes and a school over the weekend. 6 homes and a high school in the Crescentwood area had their windows and glass doors damaged. In some of those incidents, police say a suspect confronted the homeowners, threatened them, and then stole items. When police arrived at the scene, the suspect was seen walking down the street with a broken liquor bottle. The 35-year-old man is now facing several charges, including 7 counts of break and enter. Police estimate damage costs are around $25,000. There's a crisis brewing in Canada's already beleaguered healthcare system. ER doctors are complaining about burnout and are threatening to push it to the brink. 1 in 4 physicians have told the Canadian Medical Association Journal they're leaving or want to leave, and emergency rooms are bearing the brunt of hospitals under strain. CTV's Adrian Gabriel has more on why it's happening and some possible solutions.
In emergency departments across Canada, overworked and understaffed doctors are burning out and leaving.
The crisis is worsening year by year.
This new study published by the Canadian Medical Association Journal has uncovered that 1 in 10 emergency department physicians are walking off the job due to burnout. Dr. Kirsten DeWitt is the lead author of the national study that has spanned the last 6 years.
Emergency physicians are feeling like they're carrying the burden of healthcare.
Hundreds of doctors surveyed across Canada shared that they're burnt out, in part due to being forced to deliver hallway medicine to too many patients, while highlighting a lack of staffing support on the ground.
Patients are dying in our emergency departments, and we know that this is going to continue to happen.
Among the doctors who've remained working in the ER, 48% have reduced clinical hours and 20% have taken time off.
Some of the metrics that we're asked to pay attention to are how many patients you see, not how well you see them.
In May of 2020, emergency department doctor James Maskalik was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. After successfully battling the disease, he returned to work with a renewed focus on his colleagues' well-being and their ability to deliver quality care.
The point of medicine is to show up for the human being in front of you. It's not to kind of like check these boxes and push people through.
A comprehensive framework for redesigning Canada's emergency care system has been released by the Association of Emergency Physicians.
We have a huge shortage of nurses and physicians in the emergency department. We're all working overtime all the time.
A statement from the Office of Ontario's Minister of Health says in part that we need the federal government to step up as a full funding partner by renewing expiring health funding agreements to provide stable, predictable, and flexible long-term funding. Though doctors surveyed say their years-long plea for support have continuously been ignored by all levels of government.
Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
We reached out to Doctors Manitoba to get reaction to this study. Its president, Alan Altman, is going to join me a little later in the newscast. Stick around to hear whether Manitoba ER doctors are feeling the same way and what, if possible, solutions could work here. The Gordie Howe International Bridge is open to traffic tonight following months of political wrangling and delays. Here's a look from the American side at some of the very first vehicles to use that bridge after it officially opened around the noon hour today. The span, named in honor of Mr. Hockey, is expected to serve as a crucial route for trade, jobs, and tourism. For nearly a century, the privately owned Ambassador Bridge was the only route for large commercial trucks moving between Windsor and Detroit. Many say the new 6-lane bridge will be faster and less expensive.
This carries so much of our automotive trade, auto parts, and many other goods that go back and forth between the United States and Canada. It allows much more direct access back and forth, fewer traffic lights, but most important, it's competition.
The Howe family crossed first today. The hockey legend's grandson and his wife Margaret made the ceremonial drive about 2 hours before the bridge opened to the public. Turmoil over the bridge. Because of all the turmoil, Howe says he's just happy to see it's now eventually open. He says he's in awe of the architecture and called today's crossing surreal and incredible.
It's an honor to have been the first to cross.
Minutes after the Howes crossed, the first commercial vehicle truck drove onto the bridge. The truck from Tecumseh, Ontario, was carrying auto parts to Michigan. In the Middle East now, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Iraq have all reported drone attacks today. It happened 2 days after the U.S. suspended a 2-week air campaign against Iran.
As the president said, we are locked and loaded. Even more assets are going into theater, but he's giving talks some space.
Donald Trump paused the strikes reportedly after top brass advised him the strategy had reached the limits of what it could achieve. Military commanders also told the U.S. president they're running out of targets. And there's concern about the depletion of American air defense munitions. Tehran says it would pause its own attacks for as long as Trump's self-imposed ceasefire continues. Firefighters in France and Spain are bracing for another wave of extreme heat. A wildfire in southwest France grew so powerful, its smoke column turned into a thunderstorm, generating strikes of lightning. The fire began last Wednesday and has destroyed hundreds of homes. More than 220,000 people have been displaced near Bordeaux. And over in Spain, the fires are spreading near Madrid and Valencia, destroying homes and forcing mass evacuations. Weeks of extreme heat have created perfect conditions for flames to spread, with another wave of extreme heat coming. 3 people were killed in a shooting at the Seattle Food Festival, and officials say a 15-year-old suspect is now in custody. Alex Stone has the details.
Gunfire at a busy street festival in Seattle Sunday, causing a frightening scene near the iconic Space Needle, killing 3 people, according to investigators. Police say those who died ranged in age from 19 to 56 years old.
We believe that 2 people exchanged gunfire outside the Seattle Center Armory. 7 victims were caught in the crossfire, with a possible 8th.
A 15-year-old suspect is in custody.
The Seattle Police Department detained a 15-year-old juvenile in connection with the shooting.
Police are searching for a second suspected shooter.
We're trying to identify who that person is. Our officers need your help. If someone saw something, or perhaps if someone has some video.
Law enforcement sources tell ABC News investigators preliminarily believe it was gang-related. First responders rushing into the festival attempted to revive 2 of the people who were shot, but both of those victims ultimately declared dead on scene. Kai Chen, a Marine Corps veteran, was selling goods at the festival when he heard the shots, and he used his training to help others to safety.
Heard sounds like fireworks, but it wasn't. So everybody started running. Basically, I was close to the door, so we were just, getting everybody in as much as, as quickly as possible.
Investigators say it was not an act of terrorism.
And now police are searching for that second shooter who they're looking for right now. The police chief here is saying the city better needs to address groups of teenagers involved in violence. Alex Stone, ABC News, Seattle.
There were 308 goals scored at this year's World Cup, but one stood out.
Still having a reasonable share of the game, Cabo Verde, despite falling behind once more. Oh, they've equalised! Sydney Lopez Cabral!
Lopez Cabral's shot into the corner of the Argentina net was chosen as the best goal of the World Cup. That goal tied Argentina at 2-2 in extra time against Cabo Verde. Cabo Verde lost the match, but the team made a much talked about stellar debut on soccer's biggest stage.
The junior employee that is most prone to manipulation, exploitation.
Up next, a Canadian NATO intern accused of being a spy for an unnamed country. What we know about her credentials and the security review now underway.
Hot highs and warm overnight lows in Winnipeg all throughout the Long Range. Take a look at this. Wednesday, 33 degrees in the sun. No relief Wednesday night. 22 is our low. Up to 28 on Thursday. But Thursday and Friday, that's when we start to see a growing chance of showers. It's not a certainty by any chance, but certainly possible. Also thunderstorms, of course. 28 degrees both days. The long weekend gets going Saturday, 29 in the sun, 32 on Sunday, also sunny.
The Retail Council of Canada has released its back-to-school shopping survey, and the survey finds 99% of parents plan to shop in-store for back-to-school essentials this year. Nearly 50% plan to use artificial intelligence-powered shopping tools, though, to help build lists, compare prices, or decide where to shop. The Retail Council says average household spending ranges from $600 to $750 per child when electronics are included, making it one of the most significant retail events of the year. An intern from Canada has been arrested and accused of spying at NATO headquarters, raising concerns about a breach in Canada's vetting process. CTV's Judy Trin looks into where the vulnerabilities exist.
Belgian authorities have accused a Canadian female intern at NATO headquarters of being a spy. After her arrest, the woman's office and home was searched by police. Her computer data was downloaded. This arrest is prompting the Canadian government to investigate how she got her security clearance, which was vetted by CSIS and the RCMP.
As a country, we will continue to investigate the processes we have and the security screening. It is an ongoing work that we do, and in this particular case, I think it's important to get to the bottom of what happened.
The minister says whether the suspect worked for internal Canadian departments before she was hired at NATO is also being looked at. Belgium's federal prosecutor says the intern is of Chinese origin, a Canadian citizen suspected of spying for an unnamed third country and of being a member of a criminal organization.
The junior employee that is most prone to manipulation, exploitation, senior or leadership positions, they often have the protection 24/7. They have security agencies watching their back.
Analysts say young employees are vulnerable targets for hostile foreign powers playing the long game.
The juice is worth the squeeze, right? Because I mean, if they invest in this asset for a very long time to keep it under the radar, keep attention away from that person, and then that asset rises to deputy foreign minister or becomes head of the delegation or, is one of the political military affairs that shape. The amount of intelligence and what that asset can pay back after years of investment is really just unbelievable.
NATO says no sensitive information or operations were compromised at its headquarters. The Canadian woman makes her first appearance in court on Tuesday behind closed doors. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady back now with an update on your very hot and humid forecast.
Yes, but I need to show you this because some folks are out there having fun in the sun, including these two gals you'll see here. Now, they're sisters. Susan is 84 years young and Diane is 80. They're visiting from Newfoundland. They're here in Manitoba visiting Susan's son, having some fun out on the water there out in Netley Creek. So I just had to show you that because those gals, they know how to have a good time in the summer. Well, if you want to beat the heat and get to a water body, hey, you might want to do that. When I showed you that long-range forecast, you saw for yourself just how long this heat and humidity is going to last. So we're in it. Heart of the summer now. As we head into this evening, still fairly clear in Winnipeg. Winds you can see moving nice and light here. We had a few thunderstorms that just nicked the southwest corner of the province a little earlier. It looks like those have now slid off just underneath the international border. Quick zoom out to the east there into northwestern Ontario. You can see the winds are light, generally coming from the north or northeast, and the sun is shining there. Northwestern Ontario has now been added to Environment and Climate Change Canada's heat warning. And much like back here in southern Manitoba, hot highs around 30 over the next few days, humidex values in the mid to upper 30s, and not much relief overnight with very warm overnight lows in the upper teens or low 20s. So no surprise, there is the risk of thunderstorms this evening across various parts of the province, including here in Winnipeg, but it's just a risk at this point. We move a little later into the night, and that risk dissipates. Fairly clear across most areas, but hit the repeat button. Tuesday will be sunny and very warm across much of Manitoba. Temperatures actually a little warmer than today. We got into the upper 20s today. We'll get into the low 30s tomorrow. And as you might expect, once we get to the hottest part of the day, that's when those chance of showers starts to pop up across the province and into northwestern Ontario. Overnight, again, fairly clear, but scattered showers popping up on Wednesday, where that heat and that humidity will just keep on coming. Now, as for the potential for severe thunderstorms tomorrow, not outside the realm of possibility, but high pressure will hopefully help to keep the more severe storms at bay, at least in a widespread fashion, but we could still see some storms pop up that could become severe. There is a risk of a storm yet this evening. Winds will be light out of the northwest at 10 kilometers an hour, at least for a couple of hours, but then they'll get even lighter for the rest of the night as we drop down to a warm 18 degrees, up a couple to 20 in the sunshine for the commute tomorrow morning, even lighter winds, all the way up to 30 tomorrow afternoon, mostly sunny, winds out of the south at 10 kilometers an hour. Then we head around the province, swinging up into the northeast, partly cloudy tonight across most regions up in the northeast. Churchill, Gillam, both down to 13 degrees. Now, Thompson is one of a few communities around Manitoba that could pick up some fog overnight, down to 12 there. 25 in Thompson tomorrow under a mix of sun and cloud. Temperatures in the low to mid 20s back across the northeast. In the northwest tonight, Lynn Lake, Flin Flon, and the Pas all could pick up fog patches overnight, dropping down pretty warm in Flin Flon and the Pas overnight, 17 there. And those two communities have a low chance of showers with thunderstorms tomorrow, but you saw Ocean and the Pas up to 29 for Tuesday. Fog possible overnight across the southwest. Brandon, Dauphin, and the rest of the region down to 17. Now, Dauphin and Swan River have the chance of showers tomorrow, albeit a low end, but look at this, the whole area up to 30, 31, including Brandon in the sunshine. Areas to the west and to the south of Winnipeg could see fog overnight. Overnight lows warm, 18 degrees, sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud. Highs in the low 30s tomorrow, including Winnipeg. And in northwestern Ontario tonight, varying amounts of cloud, warm, 18 for the most part overnight there, 16, 18 degrees. And then tomorrow, highs around 29, 30 degrees with the chance of showers in the afternoon, otherwise a mix of sun and cloud. Our first weather photo is a beautiful one. This is taken by Roy out along Highway 75 near St. Agath. Nice shot there, and this next one's lovely too. This is from Kimberly, out picking some blueberries in Lac du Bonnet. Email us your weather photos to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. Half a dozen bronze plaques have vanished from landmarks around Steinbach. And they didn't just disappear. Steinbach's mayor says they were stolen, adding it was done in, quote, incredibly bad taste. Each of the 6 plaques were mounted in public parks honoring the area's history, leaders, and milestones. Replacing them will cost around $25,000. The city, though, is hoping they'll be returned. Those who have any information about the missing plaques are asked to contact the City of Steinbach or RCMP.
You can always reach out to your local parliamentarian and write letters.
It's tricky to diagnose and even more difficult to treat. Now, a Canadian-wide movement is urging the government to take action to secure drugs for the treatment of ovarian cancer. That story next in Medical Watch. Emergency doctors are reporting high levels of burnout, and tonight a national survey is shedding light on just how many physicians are leaving this specialty as a result. Joining us now with local reaction is Dr. Alan Altman, president of Doctors Manitoba. Dr. Altman, good to speak with you.
Good to speak to you, too.
This survey found 1 in 10 doctors are choosing to leave the ER. Is this in line with what you're seeing happening here in Manitoba?
Yeah, I wish I could say we were surprised by these results, but honestly, we weren't. Doctors Manitoba has done its own surveys of its members and trying to keep up to date with what's happening. And we've also found 25 to 30% of physicians are thinking about leaving or changing jobs or retiring early that are currently doing emergency medicine or urgent care.
Are you able to give us some idea into the factors that are contributing to burnout here in our province?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a big factor is stress, stress and burnout. So a lot of these emergency rooms are shutting down because they're not staffing enough. So that is one issue. Many of the emergency rooms are running with a single physician. So one doctor that is covering the entire emergency room. So they need that support. They need those extra bodies. And on top of that, advancing technology, keeping up with modern practices, all this is contributing to it. And on top of that, the emergency doctors are also feeling the stress from their patients. Their patients are backlogged. They're waiting in the emergency rooms. Our average wait time in Manitoba is 8.5 hours. And so when the patients are sitting there and not being able to access specialists, not being able to be admitted to hospital, the emergency room doctors are feeling that stress because they're trying to see the sick patients with limited space and limited time.
Yeah, frustrating for everyone. Well, I know this study looked at emergency room doctors. I would imagine there are ripple effects to this exodus. We know there's a doctor shortage, right across the board. What ripple effects can you tell us about that this is happening, beyond the ER?
Well, I think, the common themes that we've seen across all physicians and specialties. Doctors are feeling stressed out by the system. They are feeling burnt out. They're working long hours. They're trying to access technology and modern medicine, and sometimes that is limited. And a big drive for Doctors Manitoba has been the decreasing paperwork and decreasing the administrative burden. And although we've been working on that, it's right across the board that people are feeling this. I think in emergency rooms, people are seeing it more because that's our first point of contact, our first touch point with the patients.
Yeah, makes sense. One of the recurring themes of this survey was that, our healthcare system is broken. You mentioned getting rid of some of the paperwork. Are there other solutions you think could help ease some of the pressure doctors are feeling?
Well, I think getting rid of some of the paperwork is definitely part of it, which we've been working on. I think making sure that doctors have teams to support them, to have all the allied health professionals that work with us to make the health of the patients improve and to improve the overall system, super important. I think keeping up to date to make sure that we have access to the most modern technology to keep up with the rest of the country on advancements in medicine. A lot of us feel that as well. And interaction and making sure that the doctors are engaged, super important. And we've certainly seen our leaders doing that. Shared Health, has had a forum where they contacted the emergency room doctors and they spoke to them directly to find out what's going on and how that they can help. And I think that open dialogue and communication from Shared Health, from the government, and they've all been working at it, is a definite important step to keep everybody engaged and interested.
Definitely important, especially based on the results of this latest survey. Dr. Altman, thank you so much for your time and your insight into this tonight. It was great speaking with you.
Thanks for having me. Hope you have a great night.
Cadbury has recalled one of its products because of undeclared pistachios. The recall involves several of the company's dairy milk Oreo chocolate bars. Officials say people have reported allergic reactions after eating the products. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency says Sorry, having a little cough there. Anyone who bought these chocolate bars should either throw them in the garbage or return them for a refund. Health workers at an Ebola treatment center in eastern Congo have gone on strike over payment issues disrupting patient care. The number of confirmed Ebola cases in Congo has reached 2,905 with 1,269 deaths. Activities at the treatment center were largely paralyzed after staff stopped working. About 100 healthcare workers protested over the weekend, saying they haven't been paid in 2 months. The Central African nation has been battling the outbreak since May 15th. It continues to spread faster than health officials can track, despite an expanding response. Ovarian cancer is a leading gynecological cancer in Canada and one of the deadliest due to late-stage diagnosis. A drug which is shown to improve patient survival rates was approved by Health Canada last year, but since then, negotiations between our country and the manufacturer have stalled.
While ovarian cancer is very responsive to treatment in the short term, the cancer often comes back. And in the recurrent setting, that's where we start to struggle a little bit more.
Dr. Leslie Roberts is joining a chorus of voices around the country as part of the Share Your Voice campaign. It's being run by Ovarian Cancer Canada and encourages anyone who's been touched by the disease to share their story and sign a petition asking the government to lock down a deal as soon as possible.
So Share Your Voice is an online campaign. So if you look up Ovarian Cancer Canada or the Share Your Voice campaign, there's lots of ways that you can speak up and advocate. Also, if you have a loved one or a family member or yourself are suffering from ovarian cancer, you can always reach out to your local parliamentarian and write letters and push for movement in that way.
Anyone can sign the petition. To find out more, just head over to ovariancanada.ca.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
A platinum certified country singer-songwriter is bringing the sound of Alabama to the stage here in Winnipeg, when you can catch Tyler Braden live in concert next in Spotlight.
Spotlight sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Nearly Neal and the Solitary Band.
An Alabama-born singer-songwriter has Winnipeg on his radar.
Promise when push come to shove, but you don't want that smoke. Better the devil you know than the devil you don't.
Tyler Braden is bringing his high-octane show to the Park Theatre and Cafe. The country powerhouse is best known for songs like Devil You Know, which went platinum, and God and Guns N' Roses. The show kicks off November 3rd. Tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. through Live Nation. Well, the Odyssey continued to dominate the box office in its second weekend in North American theaters. Summer's biggest blockbuster took in $87 million U.S. in ticket sales, according to studio estimates Sunday.
We won the war. Help me go home.
That's only a 30% drop since its first weekend, a modest slide for a blockbuster. This is director Christopher Nolan's best second weekend ever, not accounting for inflation, of course. Back in 2008, The Dark Knight earned $75.2 million in weekend two. San Diego Comic-Con was held over the weekend, which has become one of the marquee events for announcing Hollywood blockbusters. Ryan Gosling will be joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Ghost Rider. The film, which is set to be directed by fellow Canadian Sean Levy, is set to be released in 2028. It is the third film to feature the Ghost Rider character, following a pair of films in 2007 and 2011 starring Nicolas Cage. Your primetime lineup kicks off with American Ninja Warrior at 7, and at 9, catch the game show, The Quiz with the Balls. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Well, we got up to 28 degrees, nowhere near this record set back on this day in 1988, 34.5 degrees. Sun rises tomorrow morning at 5:51 a.m. But before then, the sky will clear. We drop to a very warm 18 degrees overnight. Speaking of, it will be warm. It will be humid throughout the rest of the week. This is last week of July, if you can believe it. Sunny Tuesday, Wednesday, highs in the low 30s, lows in the low 20s, 28, 29 as we get into Thursday and Friday with the chance of showers. Then we get to the long weekend already. Sunshine Saturday, Sunday with highs in the upper 20s and low 30s.
Thanks, Colleen. Speed puzzlers took over Winnipeg this weekend for the first ever Manitoba Regional Speed Puzzle Competition. Around 100 participants from Manitoba and across the country gathered to see just how fast they could build a 500-piece puzzle. The competition was divided into 3 categories: individual, pairs, and teams. Rebecca Waddell, the founder of Manitoba Speed Puzzlers, says speed puzzling has an added extra layer of enjoyment to a hobby she's been doing for years.
I just love that it's taking something that I love and adding that challenge of, can I do it faster? Can I beat my time before? Like, you're not trying to necessarily beat the other people in the room, you're trying to beat yourself. To do better, to be faster, to hone your strategies, and I really like that part of it.
The top individual puzzler at the competition was able to finish that 500-piece puzzle in just 41 minutes. Wow. If you're interested in trying your hand at this, Waddell encourages you to check out the Manitoba Speed Puzzlers Facebook page. Pretty impressive. I like to puzzle, but I might have to learn how to do this, because if I don't finish it in one sitting, my cat spreads it everywhere. Yeah, so I got to get faster, apparently. All right.
No kidding.
That does it for us tonight. Have a good one. We'll see you back here tomorrow.